and welcome to the Learn to Crochet the Easy Way Masterclass. This is a 14-day course designed to help you feel confident with the basics of crochet and get you making the most beautiful things you've ever dreamed of. I'm your instructor, Sigoni. In today's lesson, we are going to be crocheting the checkered washcloth. This is part 2 of how to read crochet patterns. In part 1, we talked about all the things that you need to know about reading crochet patterns, especially before the pattern actually starts. So if you missed that video, be sure to go check that one out first and then come back over to this one. Before we get started, make sure to download a free sample of the Learn to Crochet ebook. That will be linked in the description box below. For each video in this course, you will find a related page inside the workbook. This workbook is 70 plus pages filled with full lessons, step-by-step picture tutorials, both left and right-handed, checklists, reference sheets, and patterns to both of the projects we will be making in this course. You will also gain access to all of the videos ad-free inside the Teachable platform. Today we are going to crochet a washcloth together, and while we're doing that, we're going to go over each step inside the pattern to help you familiarize yourself with reading patterns and actually making a physical product. If you decided to sign up for the free sample of my Learn to Crochet ebook, this pattern will be included in that free sample. So you can follow along as we're going over this pattern, and if you can't pull it up, it's okay. I will still be leaving a snippet of each row as we go. That way it's easy for you to follow along. For this project, you're going to need a 5mm crochet hook and a medium weight yarn. I used a 100% cotton yarn for this project because I'm using it as a washcloth. If you're using it as a washcloth, you can grab 100% cotton just because that's the best kind of fiber for this type of project. But if you're just making this to practice, you can use any yarn, any hook that you have on hand, as long as that hook corresponds with the yarn. I will leave all the materials that I used in the description box below. All right, grab your materials and let's get started. Hey, are you ready to start your very first project? I am so excited to get started with this project, and I hope you are too. But before we get started, you can download this pattern within the course materials, and I encourage you to print it out if you can so you can follow along as we go. But if you can't, I'll still leave the instructions on the screen for easy reference. Now to get started here, we have the cover page. The cover page of a pattern shows all of the information that you need to get started. So we have the pattern name, the designer, the materials needed, abbreviations used, notes, finished measurements, and gauge. Personally, I like to include both US and UK terms on my patterns, but not everybody does this. So first, let's go over the materials. The materials we need for the checkered washcloth are 1 skein of Lion Brand's Re-Up yarn, and you can use any yarn for this project. This is a medium weight number 4, but while you're practicing, you can use any yarn that you have on hand. In the future, the best kind of yarn to use for washcloths have some sort of a cotton blend, so either 100% cotton or at least mostly cotton. But as we're practicing, an acrylic yarn is totally fine to use. You will also need a 5mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle, and a pair of scissors. Now let's take a look at the abbreviations. We have the chain stitch, single crochet, double crochet, repeat, and stitch. And of course we have our US and UK terms right underneath. So if you're from the UK and I'm using one of my US terms, then you can easily reference back to see which stitch we're using. Now for the notes, it says chain 3 at the beginning of the row counts as a stitch. This is important to note because we'll be counting our stitches at the end of each row, and we want to make sure that we're counting the right stitches, but I'll explain that more as we go. The finished measurements for this washcloth is 11 inches in length and 8 3/4 inches in width. And the gauge is 16 stitches times 12 rows equals a 4-inch square. And that's it for the cover page. And now we've reached the instructions. So the first thing you'll see is that it says chain 36. Normally on a crochet pattern, it's not going to tell you to create a slip knot. It's sort of just implied. So anytime that you see chain 36 as your beginning instructions, go ahead and create your slip knot first, and then create your chain. So for this pattern, we're going to chain 36. So remember, we're going to yarn over or wrap our yarn around your hook, have your hook facing down, and pull that strand through. So that's our first chain. So we're going to chain 36. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 36 chains. Our next set of instructions says row 1, SC, which stands for single crochet, in the second chain from your hook. So that's what we're going to do first. So remember that this loop on your hook does not count as a stitch. So we have our first chain and our second chain. So insert your hook into the second chain, yarn over and pull that strand through, and you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And that's your first single crochet. Now when we read row 1 together, it says single crochet in the second chain from the hook, which we just did, and each of the next 4 chains. So since we already single crocheted into the second chain, we're going to continue single crocheting into the next 4 chains. So here's our next chain. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 1, next chain, single crochet, that's 2, and again, 3, and 4. So we have 5 single crochet total. We have this first one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next it says DC, which is double crochet, in each of the next 5 chains. So we're going to yarn over our hook first to create that double crochet, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, you'll have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's your first double crochet. Now we'll double crochet 4 more times. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now let's do that 3 more times. So now we have 5 single crochet and 5 double crochet. Now it says to single crochet into each of the next 5 chains. So again, we're going to single crochet into the next chain, and now I'm going to single crochet into the next 4 chains. So that will be 5 chains total. So again, we have 5 single crochet, 5 double crochet, 5 single crochet. Now this is where it can get tricky. Our next section says repeat from the first asterisk to the end of the row, ending with the double asterisks. So our first asterisk will go up to our first line where it says double crochet in each of the next 5 chains. So it says to repeat from there. So next we're going to double crochet into the next 5 chains, and then we'll follow that with single crochet into the next 5 chains. And we're going to repeat that back and forth pattern until we reach the end of the row. So now I'm going to double crochet into the next 5 chains. And now I'm going to single crochet into the next 5 chains. And again, I'm going to double crochet into the next 5 chains. And then for the last 5 chains, we're going to single crochet. Now see on the screen here where it says ending with the 2 asterisks. So because that was our last instruction, the single crochet in each of the next 5 chains, that's the repeat that we should have ended on. And we did. Now before we move on to row 2, at the end of row 1, you'll see that there is a 35 in parentheses. This 35 means that you should have 35 stitches in this row. Remember that counting your stitches is very important if you want to achieve straight rows. So make sure that you go back and count your 35 stitches. We're going to be counting this V stitch here. So this counts as 1 stitch. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. So we have 35 stitches in this first row, which means we are right on track. Now moving on to row 2, the first instruction says to chain 3. So we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, and then it says turn. This means to turn your work. So sometimes a pattern will say turn, other times it will say turn your work. So we have our chain 3 here, and we're looking at the back of our work. Next it says counts as a double crochet here and throughout the pattern. Sometimes only the notes section will tell you that a chain counts as a stitch, so make sure that you check the notes. But here it's telling us again that this chain 3 here counts as a double crochet. Now it says skip first single crochet, so skip this one, and double crochet in each of the next 4 single crochet. So yarn over to start your double crochet, skip this first single crochet and insert your hook into the next stitch. Now remember, we're going under both of these loops here. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And so it said to double crochet into the next 4 single crochet. So that was our first one. So now we have our chain 3 and the 4 double crochet on top of our single crochet. Now the next instruction says single crochet in each of the next 5 double crochet. So here is our 5 double crochet from the previous round, and this is where we'll be working our single crochet. So insert your hook into the next stitch. So now let's do that 4 more times. All right, so we just made 5 single crochet, and now double crochet in each of the next 5 single crochet. So again, here's our 5 single crochet. Now again, we have another repeat from the first asterisk to the end of the row, ending with the double asterisk. So we're going to repeat single crochet into each of the next 5 double crochet. And now double crochet into the next 5 stitches. Now we're going to repeat that pattern again, single crochet into the next 5 stitches, then double crochet into the last 5 stitches. And don't forget this last stitch here, it's a little slanted. It can be hard to see. There, and that is our second row of the checkered washcloth. And again it says, repeat from first asterisk to end of row, ending with the double asterisk. Our last instruction was the double crochet in each of the next 5 single crochet. So that's what we should have ended with, and we did. Now again, at the end of this row, you'll see the 35 in the parentheses. So make sure you have 35 stitches at the end of your row before moving on to row 3. Now for row 3, we'll first chain 1 and turn. Then we will single crochet into the next 5 double crochet. Double crochet into each of the next 5 single crochet. Single crochet into each of the next 5 double crochet. And then repeat from the first asterisk to the end of the row, ending with the double asterisk. So double crochet into each of the next 5 single crochet, and repeat that pattern 2 more times. Now remember that our chain 3 at the beginning of the last row counts as a double crochet. So make sure you don't miss this stitch and single crochet into the top chain of the chain 3. So here you can see our single crochet from the first row, and this is our chain 3 from row 2. So we have our chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3, and you'll single crochet into that top chain. Now the rest of the instructions say repeat rows 2 and 3 alternatively until you reach row 32. You should end on a row 2. So because we just ended row 3, we're going to repeat row 2. So row 2 says to chain 3, and turn your work, and then double crochet into the next 4, and so on. So after you repeat row 2, go ahead and repeat row 3, and then 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 until you reach row 32. And I'll meet you back at row 32 to show you what to do next. And now we're going to tie off our work, so remember, take a couple inches, cut your yarn, then yarn over and pull your tail all the way through. And remember when it said you should end on a row 2? Well, our row 2 started with a chain 3 and ended with the 5 double crochet in the last 5 stitches. So that's how you know you ended on a row 2. Now once we tie off, we're going to weave in our ends. So I'm going to thread my tapestry needle and just go through my stitches. Whenever we did our swatches, I explained that there really is no science to this. Just find where you can insert your hook and try to push it in 3 different directions and you should be good. But these washcloths are really great to practice with, and even if you make a mistake or you have a loose end, you may not want to gift them, but you can still use them. So just go ahead, weave in your ends, and then cut your yarn once you're done. And you can't even see it. To make sure that you have the correct amount of rows, come all the way back down to your first row. Now this is where we first tied our slip knot and began our chain. So this is where we're going to start counting. Right here is our first row. And remember that our first row is a little squiggly. So we have our single crochets, then our double crochets get a little bigger, and then single, double. The easiest way to count these is to count by the double crochets. So in this pattern, we double crochet, and then in the next row, we have our single crochet on top of that. Then we have our double crochet, single, double, and so on. So really what you can do is take your single crochet row, so that's row 1, and then your double crochet is row 2, and then we'll just count by 2s along the way. So here's row 1, row 2. Now I'm going to skip to my next double crochet because I know that there's a row in between. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, and 32. So we counted in 2s on our double crochet sections because we know that there's a single crochet row in between. I hope that makes sense, but that is how I count my rows. Now, if you're new, you just completed your first project, and that is so exciting. I am so pumped for you. If this wasn't your first project and you've been crocheting before, let me know in the comments something that you learned from this pattern. And if this was your first time completing a project, let me know in the comments so we can celebrate together. In the next lesson, we're going to learn how to make the half double crochet stitch. So this is another one of the 4 basic stitches that we will learn in this course. Again, check the description to download a free sample of my Learn to Crochet ebook. And as always, I'm your instructor, Sigoni, and I will see you in the next one.